This defending technique will enable you to have a solid defense when you're trying to defend out of the back of your 18-yard box and your opponent is putting a lot of pressure onto you. There is also a common mistake that I see often when people are defending in this area. I'm going to break all of these techniques down for you.
Griezmann, 3 men around him to somehow find some space. Ronaldo, fantastic, opening the drive back.
He's made himself the tiniest bit of space.
Almost feels like a bit of a toy. Didn't really go for it. Oh! The display there is absolutely ridiculous. Elastico on the goal line. On the goal line, the finest.
We talked about AUSSIEFIFA. He's not here to make up the numbers.
When you are dragging defenders back, whether that's your midfielders, whether that's your attackers, whoever it is, and you're covering passing lanes and you're basically trying to be very passive-aggressive in your defense. I don't mind you guys defending like this because it's actually a viable way of defending, but there is a common mistake that people get drawn into when defending in this area of the pitch and covering passing lanes and covering the space with their midfielders and the defenders, is the fact that they continue to do it when your opponent gets into the 18-yard box and finds that ball into the striker. This is a common mistake, and the reason why is if you AI defend and you cover passing lanes and you be very passive in the 18-yard box, it allows your opponent too much time on the ball, and this is the mistake. The fact that he has too much time in the 18-yard box allows him to turn, shoot, and of course get those goals, which I find is something that I abuse a lot in terms of trying to score against my opponents. A lot of people don't know how to defend properly, so I abuse this technique. I basically will play it around. I understand he might be passive aggressive, covering passing lanes, he might be that aggressive towards me, and he's basically just been very passive in the defense. I'll then try and take my time, find the ball into the striker, and I know from there my opponent will continue to be very passive in the defense and basically try and rely on his AI to defend the ball against me. So a way to prevent this, and what I recommend you guys doing when defending in FIFA 22 and utilizing this technique of defending where you're covering passing lanes and basically covering the space, is once he finds that ball into the striker, you need to select the centre back. You need to, and you need to put pressure on him. He cannot turn. I always say this in my coaching academy. I don't want him to breathe in the box. I want you to put a plastic bag over his head and suffocate him. I don't want him to turn, and this is important. So the way you do this is by obviously covering the passing lanes, covering the space, being passive in the midfield, preventing your opponent from getting too far up the pitch. But once he works the ball into the striker, you need to select the centre back, and the way you do that is with L1 or right stick, which is what I would use. Right stick is the way I select defenders. Of course, that's the pro defending technique and very high caliber play defending technique, and I recommend all of you who are wanting to improve, you need to use right stick switching, but you need to select the centre back. You then need to approach that attacker as he's in the box. He cannot turn. If he turns, he gets a shot off, and it's a higher chance of him scoring. So when you're being passive in the defense, you need to select the centre back, pressure onto the attacker who is in the box, who has received the ball, and prevent him from turning in FIFA 22. That's going to be the end of it, lads. It's short but sweet, but it's a defending tutorial that I wanted to break down for you, and a common mistake that I see when people are doing this defending technique, and I hope it broke it down for you enough for you to realize that you need to select defenders in the box when they work it into that area of the pitch, because it's the most dangerous area and you cannot be passive in that area of the pitch. I'm doing tutorials on Instagram and TikTok. Lads, go and check them out. I'm also coaching one-on-one on patreon.com. Links are in the description down below. But as always, I hope you have a good day. I'm out. Sayonara. Au revoir. Adios. Salam. Ciao. Goodbye.